UAB football coach Bill Clark, thank you so much for joining us today. It's National Signing Day. People have this marked on their calendar for the entire year. How bittersweet is this for you? I mean, recruiting, it's a big day for everybody.
It is, you know, and for us it was about all these relationships. Obviously, I've got a lot of relationships with high school coaches, but we had developed junior college relationships, high school relationships. So, you know, it's bittersweet to think of what would be happening for us, you know, today.
So what's this day been like for you?
Well, it's been interesting. You know, I've talked to some different folks, you know, across the country, you know, kind of what my thoughts are maybe on recruiting and kind of the same questions you asked, you know, what does it feel like for me that we didn't have a class this year? And but it's been different, you know. I'm used to the hustle and bustle and waiting on those faxes to pour in. You know, it's just different.
We've seen a lot of your players go on to the next their next home,
right,
if you will. How rewarding it is you for a coach to see these players get to take that next step and continue their college education and their athletic careers?
Well, you know, I think the thing for us, you know, kind of like parents, we want just the best for them, and I think that was finding the right fit. You know, when they have to leave and going through all that was tough enough, and then to make sure they get to keep playing. So we had to kind of turn the page pretty quickly and help them get recruited. Now, we didn't have a shortage of people calling us, so that was a positive. And, you know, even a few weeks after the season, we were holding tryouts for other coaches to come in. But the main thing is for our guys to be happy, to be at a place where, you know, they can kind of call it their second home. I know they're going to be took care of. And you know, that was a huge deal for us.
You spent a lot of time coaching, a lot of time in the high school ranks, a lot of time in the college ranks. The recruiting process, some insight into that. Why is the talent pool here in Alabama, especially these coaches coming in to kind of cherry pick those athletes? Why is Alabama such a predominant state when it comes to recruiting and bringing in these athletes?
And that's a great question. I think the big thing for us is football is important, and I think anytime it's important, there's so much work that goes into it. You know, just off-season commitment, academics, you know, doing the right thing, you know, playing through injuries and things that, you know, just a player has to deal with. It's important in our state, and so I think coaches from other states have realized just what they're getting when they're getting guys out of this state. So it's important to their communities, and you know, and I think anytime that's kind of how they've been brought up, that's the players you want on your team.
How big of a commitment is recruiting year-round? I'm talking for you and your entire coaching staff.
It's unbelievable. You know, I don't think there's a time when we're not thinking about recruiting, really. And I mean, you know, there's aspects of it going even on game day, you know, and I mean, you work 365 days for these 12 opportunities, yet you're still working on recruiting, you know. So here we are going out for warm-ups, and guys are coming in the locker room and hanging out with me and hanging out with our players. So, you know, we're writing letters. There's, you know, there's the social media side of it. There's camps. You know, there's just so much that goes into this. You know, it's not just one thing. It's all these, you know, and then, of course, the relationships with parents and coaches and their, you know, their teammates in these schools. So it's just, it really is a nonstop process.
Is it something you can lose sleep over?
Oh, no doubt. You know, this is what you think about. I mean, these are the things that I would think about in the shower. You know, are we on the right guy? Are we, you know, are we doing the right things for this school and for this individual? You know, are you getting your message out there like you could? So, you know, I just think it's a never-ending process. And then, of course, like anything else, you know, you're always trying to keep up with the Joneses. So, you know, this group's doing this new thing in recruiting, so we're trying to do that. We're wanting to be on the cutting edge. And so I think it's something that you just, as a coach, it's never ending.
The University of Alabama continues to pull in these top recruiting classes year after year under head coach Nick Saban. Why is it that he's one of the best, if not the best, recruiter in the country?
Well, I think one of the things that happens, and, you know, I had a coach who had not been at Alabama, and this is go back to early 2000s, and I remember him coming to my office and say, you know, it's amazing. He'd been in Oklahoma and other places. He said, you know, when I walk in with this A on my chest, immediately people stop what they're doing. So I think what Nick and those guys did, they took advantage of the fact they had a great name, and then they just totally, you know, exploded that by doing every minute detail. You know, I think, one, they've got tremendous facilities. They've won. You've got an NFL connection. And I think he recruits, you know, like he coaches. I think he's relentless with it. You know, that's how I want to be. That's how I want our staff to be. But that's what I see out of them. They take recruiting like they do the way, you know, the way they play the games.
A big win today for Auburn and Byron Cowart. I don't know if you saw the reaction. Gus Malzahn and his coaching staff just elated.
Sure.
Around the big table. As a coach, when you've got a top target and somebody you really, really want, and you go after them and you do everything in your power to get them to your school and sell them on your program, what does that feel like when they commit to you and they say, I'm coming to play for you?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's just so many man hours, so much time, so many relationships, and I think that's one of the things people don't understand, just how much goes into this. And I think you read it, but just the amount of time, and then like you said, the sleeplessness. But Gus and those guys have done a tremendous job. I think him being a former high school coach is a huge advantage for him. He knows how these coaches think. He knows how these kids think. He's been there. He's been in that with them, and I think they've done a tremendous job with that. But I know that was just a big deal for them because you've put so much time and effort into it.
Speaking on the level of being a high school coach, you were there, spent many years at the high school level. I talked to all these recruits, and one of the biggest things after this is all said and done is relief. They're all relieved that this is all over with.
Yeah.
When they've made that commitment, why is this such a stressful process for these guys?
Well, one, it's their future. It's their life. I think, too, there's so many people that want to get involved in this process. You've got their auntie and their coaches. They've got, the people at school. They've got classmates who pull for a certain school. And so I think that part of it's relief. And then I think it's just become such there's so much communication going on now. There's Twitter and Facebook and email and then obviously just the phone calls. So, it's just a lot of pressure on a kid, and that's who they're still kids to me. And I think that gets lost in the shuffle sometimes for them. And then I know the high school coach. It was always a huge relief for me on signing day just to know, okay, now I can move on with this next year's team, and because you wanted to see your guys end up in a good spot and somewhere that was going to take care of them.
And how much do you enjoy recruiting, and how hopeful are you will be recruiting at this time next year?
I love it. I love those relationships. One of the favorite things for me, and that's why I enjoy speaking at clinics, is just being with high school coaches and what they do for these guys and the relationships that you form with the parents and the kids. So I think that's something that I look forward to again and plan on doing it, real soon.
Here, maybe?
Maybe so. We'll just see what happens here, and if not, then I got to find a job.
All right, Coach Clark, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with everything. We really appreciate your insight. Jim?
Thank you.